my friends, welcome back to ASMR Nerd Herd. The house is quiet. The world outside is finally asleep, but in your head, a thought storm is just waking up. You're lying in bed, exhausted from the day, absolutely craving that sweet release of sleep. But in your mind, and your mind has other plans, it decided that now is the perfect time to replay that awkward conversation from 3 years ago. Draft an email you need to send tomorrow. Worry about a hypothetical problem in a distant future just for fun. Question every major life choice you've ever made. The paradox is maddening. Your body is still, but your mind is running a marathon. If you ever felt your brain get more active, more chaotic, the second your head hits the pillow, you're not alone. This isn't a malfunction. It is not a sign that you're broken or uniquely stressed. What you're experiencing is completely normal and honestly a fascinating brain process. It's a window into the inner workings of your mind. A little glimpse into the machinery of the consciousness itself. This isn't just another video about common frustration. This is a journey into the depths of your own mind. We're going to explore the exact neural networks that come alive in the quiet of the night. Understand the chemical signals that can turn gentle reflection into a frantic rumination, and uncover why silence can feel so incredibly loud. By the end, this nightly storm of thought will no longer feel like a source of anxiety, but a normal brain process you can finally understand, even when you learn to navigate with a newfound sense of peace. So let's start by just acknowledging this very common human condition. Having a mind that refuses to switch off. People often call it racing thoughts. It's a feeling of being a passenger in your own head, forced to watch a chaotic slideshow of memories, worries, and to-do lists. The thoughts can feel totally disjointed, leaping from one topic to the next with no rhyme or reason. 1 second you're thinking about a work project, the next you're cringing at something you said in middle school, and then suddenly you're planning a grocery list. I've done it many times. And the feeling of these thoughts is often soaked in anxiety. Problems that seemed manageable during the day can suddenly feel catastrophic under the midnight lens. A small concern can balloon into this massive source of dread. centers to run the show. This can create a nasty, vicious cycle. You can't sleep because your mind is racing, and then you start worrying about not being able to sleep. You watch the clock, counting down the hours until you have to wake up, calculating just how little rest you're going to get. This anxiety about sleep itself just pours fuel on the fire, making your mind even more active. It's a deeply frustrating place to be. Your body is desperate for rest, but your brain is stuck in overdrive. So the first and most important thing to address is the question that millions of people ask themselves every night. Is there something wrong with my brain? The answer, without a doubt, is no. No, 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 no. Let me repeat that so it really sinks in. There is nothing wrong with you. Your brain isn't broken. What you're experiencing is the signature of a highly evolved, deeply reflective, and complex brain doing exactly what it was designed to do. This nighttime activity isn't a bug. It's a feature. I'm in tech, so I say that a couple times. It's your brain maintenance program. It's a nightly debriefing session. It's a way of sorting, processing, and making sense of your life. The same brain that helps you solve problems and care about things during the day is the one that sometimes works overtime when it gets too quiet. Throughout this video, we're going to reframe this experience. Instead of seeing it as a problem, we'll start to see it as an opportunity. An opportunity to understand the very architecture of your inner world. Peace doesn't come from fighting these thoughts, but from getting curious about them. By understanding the why, you can fundamentally change your relationship with this process. You can learn to be the calm center of the mental storm, acknowledging the activity without getting swept away by it. To really get why your mind gets louder at night, we need to understand the brain's two basic operating modes: the task positive network and the default mode network. Think of your brain as a big company with different departments that are active at different times. During the day, from the moment you wake up, your brain is mostly in task mode. It's focused on the outside world. You're making breakfast, navigating traffic, answering emails, talking to people, focusing on a report, getting ready for school. All these activities require what neuroscientists call the task positive network, or TPN for short. The TPN is a collection of the brain. Its regions, including parts of the prefrontal cortex that fire up when you're focused, on an external goal-oriented task. It's your brain's doing that work. When the TPN is active, the main office floor is buzzing with energy. Phones are ringing, people are collaborating, and projects are getting done at work or in the classroom. Now here's the crucial part. The TPN and other major networks, the default mode network, DMN, have a kind of a seesaw relationship. Generally, when one is active, it tends to suppress the other. When one side of the seesaw is up, the other is down. So throughout your busy day, while you're focused on the world outside yourself, your default mode network is relatively quiet in the background. Your attention is pointed outward. But what happens when the day ends? You finish work, eat dinner, turn off the TV, put down your phone, and lie in the dark, quiet room. You're effectively shutting down all external tasks. You've told the task positive network its job for the day is done. And as the TPN's activity subsides, the seesaw tips. The default mode network, which has been waiting in the wings, now comes online. It springs into action. Think of it like this. During the day, your brain is a performer on a brightly lit stage, focused on the script and the audience as well. At night, well, the show ends, the audience leaves, and the stage crew comes out. That's the DMN. Its job isn't to perform, but to process. It's the brain's internal maintenance crew, the after-hours cleaners, the archivists. Their work isn't for an external audience. It's for the internal world. They sort through the day's events, file important memories, and get things ready for the next day's performance. This transition from the TPN to the DMN, it's the core reason your inner world gets louder when the outer world goes quiet. The thoughts aren't new, they were just being drowned out during the day by the demands of external focus. At night, with no external tasks to do, your brain defaults to its internal self-referential mode, so that storm of thoughts isn't an evasion. It's a scheduled shift change in the vast company of your brain. Now, let's go meet the star of this late night show. Okay, so we arrived at the main event, the star of our show. The biggest reason your brain turns into a bustling city of thoughts at night is a brain network called the default mode network, or DMN. The name says it all. Neuroscientists like Marcus Rochelle and his team discovered it when they noticed something odd in the brain scans. When they asked people to just lie still and do nothing, a specific set of brain regions consistently lit up. But the moment they gave those people a task, those same regions went quiet. This network, it seemed, as the brain's default state. What it does when it's not busy with the outside world. But don't let that word default fool you. The DMN is anything but lazy. It's incredibly active and hungry for energy. Its job isn't to deal with the external world, but to manage our internal one. The DMN is a neurological basis of yourself. It's the storyteller, the historian, the future planner of your mind. Research shows it's the most active when we do things like daydream, remember the past, imagine the future, or trying to figure out what someone else is thinking. To get what the DMN does, let's take a quick tour of its main players. First up, the medial prefrontal cortex. This is right at the center of your brain, and it's basically the CEO of you. The MPFC is all about thinking about yourself, your personality, your hopes, your dreams. When a thought pops into your head that starts with I am or what if I, that's your MPFC lighting up. It's also what helps you guess what other people are thinking, which is why at night you might find yourself replaying conversations, trying to decode them. Next, we have the posterior cingulate cortex, PCC, and the prognesis. Think of these as the center server room. The PCC is a master connector linking different brain networks together, and it's crucial for your autobiographical memory, the story of your life. It pulls up memories, especially emotional ones. The prognesis helps create your sense of self-awareness, building the mental seed for your thoughts. When you're vividly reliving a memory, these two are working together to build that experience in your mind. Then there's the angular gyrus on the side of your brain. This is like a hub for integrating different kinds of information, sensory, language, abstract ideas. It helps retrieve specific details from your past, making your memories feel rich and real. And finally, we can't forget the hippocampus. While technically more of a close business partner than a core DMN member, its role is essential. The hippocampus is the brain's memory librarian, responsible for making new memories and retrieving old ones. At night, it's busy with memory consolidation, transferring important stuff from short-term to long-term. And the DMN is right there directing the process. So let's put it all together. You lie down and the DMN comes online. The PCC and the hippocampus start sorting the day's memories. They pull up a conversation you had. This gets sent to the MPFC, which analyzes it from a me perspective to a how did I come across? What does that say about me? This is why your nighttime thoughts are almost almost always about you. The DMN is consistently working to create a coherent story about your life, and it does this through a number of ways. For example, remembering the past, sifting through memories, connecting past to your present self. That cringeworthy thing you did years ago, the DMN is trying to integrate it into your life story, maybe to learn from it. Another one is planning for the future. It's a powerful simulation machine using past memories to build possible future scenarios. This is your brain's attempt to prepare you for what might come. Another one is thinking about yourself. At its core, the DMN is about self-focus, constantly updating your sense of who you are. For people who struggle with insomnia, studies show the DMN can be hyperactive or hyperconnected. It's as if the internal storytelling machine gets stuck in overdrive, constantly churning out content and preventing the brain from shifting into sleep. This endless loop over the same thoughts. So when your mind is full of memories and plans, it's not random noise, it's the DMN doing its vital job of building your sense of self. The problem isn't that it's active, the problem is when it's active, it gets tangled up with our brain's next two characters, the brain's alarm system and its stress chemicals. As we continue, there is one piece to the puzzle, and it's the very environment you create for sleep. Sleep and darkness. Paradoxically, the conditions designed to help you sleep are the same conditions that can amplify that storm in your head. Think about your day. Your brain is constantly bombarded with sensory information, light, sounds, textures, tastes, smells. Your task positive network is busy processing this flood of external data. This constant stream of information creates sensory competition. The noisy external world effectively masks or competes with the internal shatter of your default mode. Now, what happens when you go to bed? You intentionally engage in sensory deprivation. You turn off the lights. You find a quiet room. You lie still. You have, in effect, turn off the concert. In this deep and quiet, the signal-to-noise ratio in your brain flips. The internal signals, the thoughts from your DMN that were just a faint whisper under the noise of daily life. Now, well, it has no competition. In the absence of external noise, your brain turns up the volume on its internal monologue. Subtly, that quiet thought is the loudest thing in the room. It echoes. Darkness has a similar effect. Our brains are evolutionarily wired to associate darkness with vulnerability. This can be subtle, a threat detector, to be more vigilant. Without visual proof that we're safe, the mind is more likely to run on its own what-if scenarios, and the DMN is more than happily to supply the scripts. The silence and darkness we seek creates the perfect stage for the default mode network to perform. Without by surprise, and we mistake the amplified sound of our own mind for an emergency. For times when your mind is sticky, you can use a powerful technique from cognitive scientist Dr. Luck Buduin called cognitive shuffling. This is designed to gently derail the DMN story building process by feeding it random, nonsensical images. It works because the DMN thrives on making connections. By thinking of unrelated things, you scramble its ability to build a narrative. Here's how you can do it. Now think of a random word, a neutral word, like pencil. Take the first letter P, and slowly think of words that start with P, visualizing each one for a few seconds. Pear, penguin, pirate, piano. The key is to pick simple, visual, and emotional neutral nouns. When you get bored, move on to the next letter E, elephant, egg, eagle. You will likely fall asleep. If not, you already are. Before you finish this, it's not about forcing sleep, it's about creating the mental conditions where sleep can happen naturally. Another great strategy is to create a worry time or DMN debrief. During the day, set aside 15 to 20 minutes in the early evening to just let the DMN do its thing. Grab a pen and paper and write down everything you're worried about, your to-do lists, every problem you're trying to solve, everything. By creating this list, by giving your brain a dedicated time to do this, you reduce its need to do it at 2 a.m. Finally, create a real wind-down routine. You can't expect your brain to go from 100 to 0 in an instant. In an hour before bed, start systematically reducing sensory input. Dim the lights to signal melatonin production. Put away screens which suppress melatonin and can keep the cortisol high. Do something calming. Read a physical book. Listen to gentle music. Take a warm bath. This creates a buffer zone, allowing your nervous system to gently shift gears from doing to being, and finally to sleep. This journey into the mind is a vast one. If this has brought you some clarity, consider giving me a like on this video and let me know. For more deep dives into the science of you or things, consider subscribing. And most importantly, share your experience in the comments. Reading through them is a powerful reminder that in this, you are truly not alone. Your story might be exactly what someone also needs to hear. Tonight, when you lie down and the quiet returns, you'll have a new understanding as your inner world gets louder. You'll know it's not a malfunction, but the sound of your default mode network coming online to process your life. You'll recognize that anxious feeling as a possible signal, whose voice gets louder and louder when its supervisor is off duty. You now know that the silence you seek is an amplifier, but the roar it reveals isn't a monster to be slain. It's simply the sound of your own consciousness. You are no longer a passive victim of a racing mind. You are an informed and compassionate observer. You have tools, reframing, mindfulness, a cognitive shuffling, not to silence your mind, but to change your relationship with its sound. So the next time the storm of thoughts gathers, remember that it is a natural process. You can acknowledge the clouds, let them drift, and trust in your brain's profound ability to find its way to the quiet harbor of sleep. This understanding is your anchor. The sweet compassion is your guide. Sweet dreams, and thank you for visiting the Nerd Herd. If you made it this far, thank you. Have a wonderful night. Goodbye, my friends.